Bothwell, Devin Taylor, and Tibbitts. Coach, when you're ready, I'll put the statement.
Yeah. I thought we played really well. Just really proud of the way that we showed up today. We put a plan together, and the boys did a great job of executing that plan. Really down to just leaving some guys on base, but everything else that we had lined up, the guys did an awesome job of. And sometimes baseball goes that way, but I thought we played really well, competed hard, and I was really proud of them. So that may not be much of an opening statement, but that's mine.
Reminder to please raise your hand, identify yourself and your media outlet. Questions for the student athletes right here.
Matt Byrne, Indiana Daily student. Ty, there was a period this season where you didn't pitch for a month, and then in your last outing, you go 5 strong. May not have been the result that you wanted, but what did this kind of outing mean to you?
I mean, it meant everything. Being in a hole in the beginning of the year, everything wasn't working out right, but the fact that I was able to go out and compete and lay my heart out for this team meant everything to me. I'm Hoosier born and raised, and I love these guys and this team. I've always been out there for the boys whenever I need it or whenever they need me, and just to go out there and compete for my teammates and do what I could for as long as I could meant a lot to me. And I'm just proud of the guys that I had behind me and how much everybody else competed and laid their heart out today too. So.
Mason Williams, the News Network. Ty, before the start, you were interacting with fans, signing autographs, tossing balls into the kids. When did you know that you were going to be the starter today, and how were the emotions going into it?
I knew before the day, but baseball's a game. It's a kids' game that we're playing. So there's just no reason for me to treat the day differently than I've done any other day. Being there for the kids just like I would have when I was going around, going to games and stuff. I know how much it means to them, and I just try and treat it like it's just another fun day out on the mound, and going out there and competing. That's what comes next. I'm able to kind of turn the switch a little bit, but the biggest thing for me is just being there for others. No matter if it's teammates or fans in the stands, and helping out with the kids, and it kind of warms my heart. So there's just no other reason to ignore them. I'd rather be on their side and make sure another kid's having a good day and having fun than just kind of ignoring them. So I don't know.
Jack Ankinas, Indiana. Ty, after allowing a couple of runs in the first inning, how were you able to settle in and kind of find your groove?
Just we talk about it a lot, but we have a good offense, and I knew that at some point, the statistics show that our team was going to turn it on, and I knew that my team had my back, whether it be rain or shine, and however I was throwing, that was irrelevant. The fact that our guys have, day in and day out, I behind closed doors, I see them working every day, and I know, all that work is going to translate to the game, and just knowing that our guys are behind each other, and in the biggest moments, that's all that I needed to have in my head to be able to go out and compete. So.
Yeah, Rick Bose, WDRB in Louisville. You gave up a single to start the game and then a couple of walks. I think you retired 15 in a row or 14 out of 15. Did it just take you a while to sort of relax and get command, or what do you think happened?
I don't really know. It was just like I said, the support from my teammates to back me up when I needed it. It just kind of translated over.
Back there.
Carl James, IUBase.com. Devin, the entire team has done quite well at fouling off 2-strike pitches, and something you've been doing really well all year. Can you just talk about the team approach and what you guys talked about coming into this game?
I mean, we really established it before the season with Coach Mercer being the main one that's expressing it every day. And it's to get to first base, no matter hit by pitch. Like, we barely get hit, gets hit in the back. Like, we get a little blooper, like a little chopper. Like, our goal is to get to first base. Of course, if we hit home runs, woohoo, like, we're scoring. But, like, first base is the goal, and if we get bigger, then that's even better.
Josh Pope, WIUX, this is for Brock and Devin. How much has this group of seniors, including Ty, meant to you guys?
It meant the world to us. I mean, we knew we had a younger group coming in, and they've just done such an amazing job of mentoring all the older guys and being a great leadership component and just kind of rallying all the younger guys behind them, you know, who didn't maybe have as much experience as some of the older guys. And it's just such a great group of seniors that I think I speak for everyone that we're going to miss a whole lot.
Yeah, and to tag on to that, Philip Glasser being the main position player that's been helping us, like, that was my guidance when I first got in the summer. And then, like, I was like, hip hip hooray when he, like passed the draft, came back. Like, I remember because Mercer FaceTimed him, and then I was just, like, really happy that I'm going to have, like, a mentor like him to come back. And then it just really spiraled on after that. Sorry.
Todd Gould with the CNHI and Devin, you got a taste of what this means and what you can build on, how do you kind of how do you and the rest of your team kind of internalize that and take it to the next step where you feel like you learned from this experience?
Yeah, I mean, like, we experienced a really young team. Like, of course, I'm one of the young ones, but, like, we all know what it's like, this experience is. Like, we've been here now, got this under our belt, but, like, now we're just gonna embrace it, like, embrace this loss, and then carry it on for motivation for next year with everything we got, for sure.
Brock, in your sort of 2-year sample size, fewer than 30 wins, missing the postseason, then near 45 making the postseason. Kind of what's that turnaround experience kind of been like for you?
I mean, it's been awesome. Obviously, winning is fun. Winning's a lot more fun than losing, so whenever you can win a few games, that definitely helps. But, I mean, again, it just goes back to, the mentorship of the older guys, the belief from the coaching staff, the belief of all the guys and each other to just be able to put it all together and win a few more games than last year. And I think it just goes back to the fall. I just kind of felt something special kind of within the locker room. I think we all internally kind of felt it and just kind of knew that this year was going to be a pretty special one. And, it sucks to end this way, but I think it's been a pretty fun year.
Couple more, please,
Brock, kind of going off that couple building block years now, you're going to be one of the upperclassmen along with this select group that have been the underclassmen looking up. Now you're going to be one of the upperclassmen. What does that kind of mentality give you heading into the next season?
I mean, it's just staying the same that have been the last 2 years, and just kind of helping the younger guys the way the older guys helped all of us, and just kind of helping them to stay level-headed, and just let them know that they put in the work, they put in the time. Once we get in the arena, we'll be able to have success.
Aaron Schiffer on assembly call. Going about what he asked, but expanding on that, for a couple of years, this program, when it had the good years between 2013 and 2019, by the end of the year, because baseball's the last thing going on, IU fans really start to notice, and it becomes like the big sport at IU, and in the last couple of years haven't gone as well, so it sort of hasn't been in the mainstream IU discussion in the same way, but this year it's been back into it with the big season this year again. So how big is it to get just back, in all IU fans' minds again and have the big year again and have a bright future after the last couple seasons weren't as good? Any of you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Coach Mercer brought us up after the game in the bullpen, and he's like, we really changed this program, which I really believe that. We were one of the best teams. We made it far. And, we were a really good group of guys. We've all bonded the whole year, and it made it a lot better when we bonded. And just using that, it basically just makes it a lot more fun. So, yeah, kind of like that. Shoot, I kind of messed that up.
Back here. Over here to the
Big
right.
game of the LAP election for Devin and Brock. This was the biggest crowd in the history of Kentucky baseball. It didn't look like it bothered you guys at all. What was it like in general? Were they just a part of this the scene for college baseball? And then did you guys feed off that energy?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's a lot of fun playing in front of all the fans. You know, this is why you come to Indiana. This is why I feel like we all chose to come here and play for Coach Mercer and the rest of the coaching staff, is to play in environments like this. And, you know, this is just a little taste of postseason baseball that we all were able to get. And, you know, just that little taste helps keep us hungry for going into next year.
Down here, last one.
Brock, you've been part of a pretty big improvement last year, this year as a team. What kind of are you taking from that and trying to work on to improve again next year as a team?
I mean, I would just say just staying consistent, you know, with kind of year to year, and kind of taking the knowledge that the older guys have instilled in us younger guys, and kind of helping the next group of guys to come in just to get them back on the same track and kind of let them know that this is now the standard for Indiana baseball, and, you know, this is just a taste for what's to come in the future.
Thank you, guys. You're free to go. Questions for the head coach?
Yeah.
Last few moments there in the dugout, but when you were consoling Phil on one knee, kind of what was that like in that moment?
Terrible. It's awful. There's a lot of great things about this job, and that's probably that might be the worst. That sucks. To quote Brock, it does. I mean, that guy gave his whole heart and soul. He gave everything he had, and he really changed. I know at the end of the seasons, everybody talks about stuff and how great guys are, and all of a sudden it's like we lose like the reality of what it actually means when you have a great leader. Like everybody's the best and everybody's awesome and everybody works really hard, and it's like you lose this sense of it doesn't mean anything anymore, except for that guy. Like that guy's different. He's different. He's the most passionate. He's the most focused. He's the most motivated. When guys get to their 5th year, I mean, think about this. This guy's played every day for 5 years and turned the draft down 2 or 3 times. He's played every day for 5 years, and he's still the most motivated, laser-focused, dutiful player I've ever coached. That doesn't happen. It's not normal. He's just wired different. And he's elevated everybody else around him to be like that and to understand when you're trying to explain what it's like to work and to be invested and to be the absolute best that you can be at something, to pour all of yourself into something, and you don't have a role model that says that's what it looks like. It's really hard, and you come across as a coach, you come across that you're asking something that's outlandish, or you're asking for something that's too much, or it's too hard, and then you have a player like Phil, and it's like he's not supposed to be doing this. Like physically, he doesn't have the ability to do some of these things that he does, but he's so diligent, he works so hard. And it's like when you can say, be like Philip Glasser, work like that, think like that, be invested like that, it changes everything. And so that's what is difficult when you're looking at this guy who's broken, and now you have to try to console him in this moment, and you know how much he's invested and how much he's given to everybody around him. And you just wanted to give him one more thing. You know, you just wanted to give him one more. Yeah, it's just like I just wanted it for him. I just wanted it for those guys. You wanted to send him away in his last college baseball game to go to a super regional. You wanted that. Like, and if we would have got to a super regional, then you would have said at the end of that, I would have wanted one more game for Philip Glasser to get to the World Series. And you get to the World Series, I want one more. You're selfish. You were greedy. We all are, but that's what's hard for him. Is like I know how much he's changed everybody around him. I know how much he's blessed me to be able to coach him, and then to see him hurt like that, it hurts. It hurts you as a coach because you love him and you care about him. And sometimes we throw those things around too loosely, but with that guy, he's the real deal.
Jeff Drummond from Rivals here. I have a 2-part question about that pitching. You had some balls barreled pretty good against the starter. Probably didn't get as much as you would have liked.
Yeah, sure.
And then once they brought in more, it seemed like not a lot of great contact.
Yeah, he's really good. So it was going to be tough. You got to score early. You know, you get to today, and we had to do what we had to do to keep our arms safe, but also to put us in a position. If I run those guys out yesterday, they're not going to be as good. And then you probably lose yesterday's game with your guys, or your good guys aren't going to be as good, and then you lose today's game because nobody left. So, but by doing that, you also realize that you're going to end up getting their arms back up too. And so it's the roll of the dice. And so you're going to pitch it better, but so are they. And we had to get to Williams, and we just didn't do a good enough job against him. We had a bunch of guys on base. We had 6 hits and a walk. We had 7 base runners, and we had guys in scoring position, and bases loaded, nobody out, and only scored 1. We had a run on third base and nobody out, and didn't score him. We had second and third and 1 out at least once, and didn't score him. Like, you just can't leave guys on base, because when you get to Moore, I mean, he's really good. Like, he's throwing a bowling ball at 94 miles an hour. He's excellent. So, and we still had chances. We still had chances against him. We still had 4 hits, and we had 5 base runners. And typically we've done a good job. We've scored runs. We're one of probably the second best offense in the league, I think, statistically in the Big Ten, and probably a top 40 or 50 in the country. And they just did a really good job of getting to tough zones to drive in runs. Elevated sinkers are just really hard. They're hard to get to. They're hard to lay off of. They're hard to flatten out. It's what Ryan Kraft does. That's why Ryan Kraft throws an 89-mile-an-hour elevated sinker and nobody can hit him. It's just hard to get to. And so he did a really good job. Every time he had to knuckle down and execute pitches, he did. He got in when he had to get in. He got up and in when he had to get up and in, and we couldn't drive him in. And that was the difference in the ball game. Pitched it really well, and he just, Williams executed pitches. Moore has great stuff.
Aaron Schiffer and Assembly Call. You were so close this year, and as I said to them, you turned the program around, from the last couple of years, and you're back in the mainstream discussion of IU sports again, being the last sport after a couple of bad years. But how much does being here and seeing all the screaming UK fans make you hungry to host a regional in the next couple of years, so it's in front of IU fans, and just take that extra last step?
Yeah. I mean, I would quantify having a bad season as finishing 4th is probably not a bad season. Last year we obviously did have not the season that we want to have. We also had the guts to go through what I would say a pretty well-executed rebuild in 1 year, and so I would quantify that. You have to understand that, so this would be my 6th or 7th time playing in the postseason. You're not more hungry or less hungry, right? You're hungry all the time. You work in this industry, you work in this business. If you're not starving hungry every day, the whole operation passes you by. And so you have to look at what does that mean? Like, how do you build? And so the first thing you have to do is you have to evaluate where you're at and how you build success at where you're at. So while we're building, I'm looking at this year and next year and the following year, and I'm saying, how do we get to a national level, and then stay at a national level every single year, forever and ever and ever, right? And so I'm not more hungry than I was yesterday. I was starving hungry 4 or 5 years ago when we started this process. I'll be starving hungry tomorrow, and I'll be starving hungry in 10 years. And so, I've been a player in front of 10,000 people. I've been an assistant coach in front of 10,000 people. I've been a head coach in front of 10,000 people. I've won games and lost games. I think if you ebb and flow based on how loud the crowd is or what you did in this pitch or that pitch, I think if you ebb and flow in that, then you're not consistent. There's no more or less motivation than it was before. Now, do you learn and adjust? Sure. Do I get better at running elevated sinkers on the spin ball machine next year? Yeah, probably. Do I get better at running team defense? Yeah, maybe. Do you get better at calling pitches? Whatever it is, you can learn. But I think either you're motivated or you're out of the industry like that. And so you got to be motivated. So it doesn't change, in my mind, doesn't change those things.
Back there.
Coach, twice this weekend you played in record-breaking crowds.
Yeah.
Indiana, Kentucky's always been a big rivalry. Do you think that there'll be a weekend series at some point in the next year or so?
No. Kentucky canceled the series last year. So Kentucky and Indiana is no longer a series. They called and canceled it. So it's done. So it's the last time we're playing unless we play in the postseason. So they asked if we wanted to keep coming down here. I'm not coming down here without a return trip. So it's done.
Coach, you mentioned that it's been a player-led group all season long. Obviously, when Waylon was overcome with emotions there at the end, Josh and Sam you went out to console him.
Yeah.
What does that kind of say about the overall camaraderie between this group and this team this year?
Yeah, they are. They're an incredibly close group. And kind of like the boys said, their emotions and their feelings after the game today, where it's so like deep, right? Everyone's upset at the end of the season, but this group was very hurt, and it's because they are, like, all good teams are player led. All good teams are player led. They're all led from within, and they want to experience something special together. And so as a coach, you're trying to foster that growth behind the scenes, and then when they start to see it and they understand it, and then they take the next step as a program within, by taking the accountability themselves, then you see something really special happen. And then you're working together. It's not, hey, you're working for me. They're not working for me. They're working with us. They're working with their coaches. They're working with each other. And that's when you have a big jump. I mean, that's the difference. You know, we lost a 2-run game today, but I mean, shoot, we're 19 or 20 and 5 or 6, whatever it is, in 2-run or less games. I mean, that's moxie. That's a team. You know, that's not just talent. Talent beats everybody by 10 runs, right? That's talent. A team wins close games. A team can communicate. A team can fight for each other and persevere. A team is guys like Ty Bothwell fighting his way back from not a good place 6 weeks ago. Like, that's a hard thing to do, and those guys supporting him and showing up and continuing to encourage each other. You know, that's what a team did, and they became that. That's why it hurts so bad. Not because we didn't win. I've lost lots of games. I'm sure I'll lose lots of more, but because I don't get to see those guys anymore. They don't get to see each other anymore. You know, that's what's hard. That's what's always hard. And that's for, every team but one. This says I'm not unique. Every team but one is going to have the same thing where, you're just sad because I don't get to see him anymore. But that's a beautiful thing. So it makes life beautiful. It's like it's over, right? It moves on and it changes and it's different. So you got to enjoy the moments while you got them. And I'm glad I got to experience a lot of great moments with these guys because it's beautiful. They're a beautiful group of kids.
Okay. Last one down here.
Todd Golden with CNHI Indiana. Jeff, you've been through regionals before, as you mentioned. It's the first time for this group.
Yeah.
What were the kernels of things that you saw that made you pleased about the way they handled it the first time, especially for some of the guys who are coming back and get a chance to try to do it again?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. How together they were to achieve something that was bigger than just them, I guess. Like, everyone will remember, and I'll remember Pete Cerruto's home run, right? But how you got there, it's like 0-2 count. I think it was the Lee kid, right? I mean, he's drilling us, right? He's killing us. He's doing a great job, and he just fights, and they send him back out. I think it was the 8th, and it's like these fights. He gets 0-2, fights, and you could hear everybody like just keep going, and then he hits that home run, and just seeing like the dugout erupt. Like, I stepped down into the dugout, and it's like pandemonium, right? Everyone's going bonkers, like, oh my goodness, we did it. And then, just to see that moment will live with me for the rest of my life. I'll remember that view of the dugout and everyone going crazy, for forever. Watching Reisdorf come in from the bullpen when Sennard gets hurt. And knowing that what just happened, like, we just had to use probably our next 2 starters to cover that first game, and knowing like, all right, young fella, like, you're gonna have to get us out of this pickle, and then you're gonna have to give us some length, and watching those guys step up and seeing all those guys that threw the first 2 days come back yesterday, like, I can throw today. It's like, you're not throwing today, pal. Like, you're gonna get hurt. But like, all those guys stepping forward and seeing their performances today, seeing Ty Bothwell go from where he was at 6 or 8 weeks ago to throwing terrific in the first game and coming out today and giving, like, what an incredible performance from that kid. I just remember seeing him on the Tuesday, like the Wednesday off scrimmages, throwing, trying to get it back, like throwing to a stand-in dummy, throwing to the kind of like the guys, like the redshirt group on Wednesdays, just trying to get it back, and being so far away from it, to seeing him going out and pitching like he has. Like, those are the things I'll remember forever, and I'm very thankful for that.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks so much. Have a nice night.